Top 10 Gemstones that changed human history. Throughout history, gemstones have been more than just beautiful objects. They've been symbols of power, tools of science, icons of religion, and catalysts of conflict. Some stones changed kingdoms. Others sparked revolutions in art, culture, or ethics. These are the 10 gemstones that didn't just sparkle, they shaped the course of human civilization. Don't forget to press and hold that like button, leave a comment, and hit subscribe before we begin. Ranked 10th. Amber, the only gemstone that could bring dinosaurs back to life. Amber is the only one who has changed the course of human history through science, mythology, and mystery. Formed from fossilized tree resin, dating back 30 to 90 million years, amber doesn't just sparkle, it preserves life. Inside it, ancient insects, flowers, and even small vertebrates are frozen in time. However, amber's most significant impact came not from its beauty, but from what it made possible, the birth of modern paleontology and the first honest discussions of extracting prehistoric DNA. That idea, popularized by Jurassic Park, was based on real science made possible by amber. It changed how we think about extinction, cloning, and even time. Historically, amber was once valued higher than gold by the Romans and traded by the Vikings across Europe. In China, it was revered as the soul of the tiger and burned in rituals for spiritual purification. And during World War II, the Nazis looted the legendary Amber Room, a full chamber made of amber panels, which remains one of the greatest lost treasures in modern history. Amber has touched nearly every chapter of human civilization through war, trade, medicine, and science. Only amber holds the literal memory of Earth, and it has changed human history by connecting us to its deepest past. Ranked 9th. Moldavite, the alien gem that sparked human awakening. Moldavite isn't just rare, it's otherworldly. Around 15 million years ago, a massive meteor slammed into what is now the Czech Republic, creating a fireball so intense it vaporized rock and soil, launching molten material high into the atmosphere. When it rained back down, it hardened mid-air, forming green, glassy tektites unlike anything else on Earth. That's Moldavite. But Moldavite's impact didn't stop with its creation. It would go on to change the way humans think about the universe, spirituality, and even fate itself. In prehistoric times, Moldavite was carved into tools and talismans, making it one of the earliest human-used stones in Europe. Archaeologists have found Moldavite artifacts in Paleolithic settlements, meaning the very first humans may have used it to settle Central Europe. Long before diamonds were symbols of wealth, Moldavite was a symbol of the sky gods. In the Middle Ages, it became a stone of kings and mystics. Legend says it was the green stone in the Holy Grail, which was said to provide enlightenment, healing, and divine knowledge, whether myth or not. Moldavite's spiritual power continues today. But beyond the mysticism, Moldavite helped reshape modern geology and space science. It forced scientists to rethink how gemstones can form, not just from the Earth, but through violent cosmic events. It helped prove the tektite theory, that meteorite impacts can create natural glass, changing the field of planetary geology. So yes, Moldavite didn't just change history, it reminds us we're part of a universe far bigger than ourselves. Ranked 8th. Amethyst, the gemstone that rewrote the rules of royalty. For most people today, amethyst is beautiful, affordable, and easy to find. Tucked into museum shops, yoga studios, or your cousin's jewelry box. But few realize that this soft purple stone once stood on the same throne as diamonds. And for centuries, it was the gemstone of kings, emperors, and the church. In ancient Greece, amethyst was believed to ward off intoxication. Its name comes from the Greek amethystos, meaning not drunk. Warriors and nobles would carve goblets from it, hoping to stay clear-headed through war and wine. But the real power of amethyst came later when it became the unofficial gem of royalty. Amethyst was as rare and coveted as rubies and sapphires for centuries, found only in select mines in India and Egypt. Its deep purple color, often linked to divinity, wisdom, and nobility, meant that only influential people could afford to wear it. It was quite literally a status gem that separated rulers from commoners. But in the 18th century, everything changed. Massive deposits were discovered in Brazil and later Uruguay. What was once reserved for popes and monarchs could now be sold to the public by the handful. In less than a generation, amethyst went from a royal treasure to a stone anyone could wear, reshaping the global gemstone market. This collapse in rarity triggered a ripple effect across the jewelry industry, forcing traders and consumers to redefine the idea of value, from exclusivity to aesthetics, from scarcity to accessibility. In other words, amethyst democratized beauty. It showed the world that elegance didn't have to be expensive, that spiritual meaning didn't require a crown, and that a gemstone could hold power, even when it changed hands. Ranked 7th, Alexandrite, the gem that changes with the light and with history. If any gemstone captures the magic of duality, it's Alexandrite. Blue in daylight, red by candlelight. One gemstone, two realities. To see it change in your hand is to witness a natural illusion so perfect it's almost magical. Discovered in 1830 in Russia's Ural Mountains, Alexandrite was named in honor of the young Tsar Alexander II. Its patriotic colors, green and red, match the uniforms of Imperial Russia, making it an instant national treasure and a symbol of the aristocracy. The Russian elite was enchanted, believing Alexandrite brought balance, intuition, and protection. It wasn't just beautiful, it had meaning. But Alexandrite didn't just fascinate royalty, it redefined gemology. This color-changing chrysoberyl introduced scientists and jewelers to the power of light-sensitive gemstone optics. The color changes are due to the complex interaction of chromium in the crystal structure and the different wavelengths of natural versus artificial light. Unlike opal or labradorite, which sparkle on the surface, alamite changes from within, as if it were keeping a secret. Outside of Russia, Alexandrite became rare and revered. Its natural sources are few: Sri Lanka, Brazil, and parts of Africa, and gem-quality specimens are extremely limited. Some believed it was rarer than diamonds. In the 19th and 20th centuries, Alexandrite symbolized mystery, transformation, and hidden potential. Alexandrite is more than a color-changing gemstone. It is a mind-changing gemstone. Ranked 6th, Jade, the stone that built an empire. For over 8,000 years, jade has been worn, worshipped, feared, and entrusted with power greater than kings. To the ancient Chinese, jade wasn't just a stone, it was virtue in solid form. Confucius described it as embodying wisdom, courage, compassion, and purity. In imperial China, jade was reserved for emperors, scholars, and warriors. It was used in royal seals, burial suits, ceremonial weapons, and even instruments of law. To be buried in jade wasn't luxury, it was protection for the soul. The Han Dynasty believed jade could preserve the body after death, and emperors were entombed in full-body jade armor, stitched together with gold thread. These weren't artistic flourishes. They were political statements about immortality, cosmic favor, and eternal rule. Jade also shaped economic history. Long before the Silk Road carried silk, it carried jade. Mines in Khotan and Burma fed China's obsession, while artisans in Beijing and Xi'an carved pieces so delicate that they rivaled the craftsmanship of any Renaissance master. Even today, jade holds cultural, spiritual, and monetary power. In Chinese households, gifting jade isn't just generous, it's sacred. A jade bangle from a grandmother isn't fashion, it's ancestral memory. A jade pendant isn't a charm, it's a shield against misfortune, believed to absorb danger and shatter in place of its wearer. It didn't just change history, it helped write the moral code of a nation. Ranked 5th, the Black Prince's ruby, the stone that fought through centuries of blood. If history had a jewel soaked in blood, betrayal, and empire, it would be the Black Prince's ruby. This legendary crimson stone, mounted front and center on the British imperial state crown, is a red pinnell, a mineral once mistaken for ruby for centuries. But don't let the misidentification fool you. The Black Prince's ruby has a legacy that changed the face of European power. The story begins in 14th century Spain, where the gem was said to have belonged to a Moorish prince. In a bloody twist of fate, It was taken during a revolt and passed on to Edward of Woodstock, known as the Black Prince of England, as payment for military support. Thus began the stone's long, violent journey through British royalty. In 1415, King Henry V wore the gem on his helmet at the Battle of Agincourt, one of the most iconic battles in the Hundred Years' War. Legend has it that the stone took a blow meant to kill him, saving the king and becoming a talisman of victory. This moment cemented the gem's status as a jewel and symbol of divine favor and military destiny. However, the most fascinating twist came in the 18th century, when gemology as a science evolved. Experts realized the gem wasn't a ruby, but a spinel, chemically and structurally distinct. This revelation shattered assumptions and reshaped how we classify and value gemstones, reminding the world that knowledge can change our beliefs about power and beauty. Today, the Black Prince's ruby still sits at the heart of the British crown, gleaming under royal processions and coronations. Not because of what it is, but because of what it survived. It's a gemstone that marched through war, wore the blood of kings, and rewrote the narrative of truth, identity, and illusion in the history of empire. Ranked fourth, Lapis Lazuli, the stone that colored the divine. Before gold became currency, before diamonds symbolized love, Lapis Lazuli ruled the world. This deep blue stone, flecked with golden pyrite-like stars in a midnight sky, has been mined for over 6,000 years, most famously from the Sari Song mines of Afghanistan, which supplied the ancient world from Mesopotamia to Egypt. But lapis wasn't just a pretty gem. It was sacred, strategic, and revolutionary. In the Middle Ages and Renaissance, lapis was ground into ultramarine, the most expensive and vibrant blue pigment in the world. More valuable than gold by weight, it became the sacred hue of the Virgin Mary's robes, the heavens in Renaissance frescoes, and the halos in illuminated manuscripts. Artists like Michelangelo, Vermeer, and Da Vinci used ultramarine so sparingly it was reserved only for the holiest elements of a painting. The cost of lapis didn't just shape art, it controlled it. Religions adopted lapis as a bridge between mortal and divine. Buddhists believed it enhanced inner peace and clarity. Sumerians associated it with their sky god. And in Christian iconography, it became the color of the heavens. Lapis wasn't just a gem, it was a spiritual technology, a material that helped humans imagine and paint the invisible. Even politically, lapis played a role in trade empires. Its movement along the Silk Road made it one of the earliest globally traded gemstones, connecting Central Asia with Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, centuries before oil or steel ever did. So yes, lapis lazuli changed history, not by its rarity, not by its price, but by giving humanity a language for the sacred, the royal, and the eternal, one brushstroke at a time. Ranked third, turquoise, the sacred stone of civilizations. Turquoise, one of the oldest gemstones ever mined and revered. But this isn't just a pretty blue rock. Turquoise is a stone that has connected civilizations, crossed continents, and become a sacred symbol for thousands of years. Its name comes from the French pierre turque, Turkish stone, because it was introduced to Europe via trade routes through the Ottoman Empire. But its story began long before that. The ancient Egyptians mined turquoise in the Sinai Peninsula as far back as 6000 BCE. Thousands of miles away, the Persians treasured turquoise as a sky stone, carving it into seals, amulets, and weapons. Turquoise was thought to protect warriors in battle, changing color to warn of danger. In pre-Columbian Mesoamerica, the Aztecs and Maya used turquoise as a tribute to the gods. They inlaid it into masks, ceremonial daggers, and shields. To them, turquoise was life energy made visible, a direct link to the divine. Even in Native American culture, especially among the Navajo and Pueblo tribes, turquoise remains sacred. It represents sky, water, spirit, and healing, and is still used in jewelry and rituals today. Few gemstones in history have been so universally honored across time and geography. Turquoise isn't just a cultural artifact. It's a bridge between worlds, heaven and earth, life and death, past and present. That's why turquoise deserves its place among the most essential gemstones in human history, because it didn't just shine, it unified civilizations under the color of the sky. Ranked second, Koh-i-Noo, the diamond that crowned empires and divided nations. Weighing over 105 carats in its current form, the Koh-i-Noo is more than just one of the world's most famous diamonds. A symbol of conquest, colonialism, and power that never stops shifting. Its name means Mountain of Light in Persian, and for centuries it lived up to that name, passing through the hands of sultans, shahs, maharajas, and emperors, each claiming it as proof of divine rule. From the Mughal courts of India to the Persian Empire, from Afghan warlords to Sikh rulers, the Koh-i-Noo was a prize of victory and an omen of doom. Legend said whoever wore it would rule the world, but only men. For women, it was cursed. The diamond's turning point came in 1849, when the British East India Company seized it from the 10-year-old Maharaja Dalip Singh during the colonization of Punjab. It was presented to Queen Victoria, not as a gift, but as the ultimate imperial trophy. The Koh-i-Noo became a crown jewel of the British Empire, embedded in coronation regalia, and paraded as a symbol of Britain's global dominance. But beyond the legal battles and museum glass, the true power of the Koh-i-Noo lies in what it represents. The idea that a single stone could symbolize the rise and fall of entire empires. This is not a diamond you admire. It's one you reckon with. It changed history not because of its brilliance, but because it shows how far humanity will go to control something priceless. In the first place, the Hope Diamond, the stone that cursed kings and rewrote legends. The Hope Diamond, weighing 45.52 carats and glowing with a surreal deep blue hue, isn't just rare, it's mythic. Its history is steeped in opulence, violence, betrayal, and a curse that has become a legend. Originally part of a massive blue diamond mined in India's Kolar mines, the gem was acquired in the 1600s by French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, who sold it to King Louis XIV cut and renamed the French blue. It was worn as a symbol of absolute monarchy until Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette were beheaded during the French Revolution. The diamond disappeared, then resurfaced years later in London, smaller, recut, and now known as the Hope Diamond, after its next unlucky owner, Henry Philip Hope. Over the next 2 centuries, nearly every major owner suffered a tragedy: suicides, bankruptcies, betrayals, and even violent deaths. Whether coincidence or curse, the pattern was so striking that the Hope Diamond became the most feared gem in the world. Newspapers fueled the legend. Socialites whispered about its dark power. And still, collectors couldn't resist it. In 1958, the Hope Diamond found its final home. Donated to the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., where it remains today under bulletproof glass. Since then, millions have stared into its midnight blue fire, captivated by a single question: can a stone be cursed? But here's why it sits at the very top of this list. The Hope Diamond isn't just famous, it's cultural gravity. It represents the collision of wealth, superstition, colonialism, celebrity, and science. It's been worn by kings, chased by thieves, examined by scientists, and feared by the public. Novels, movies, and entire museum wings inspire it. Unlike most gems still in history, the Hope Diamond moves through history, influencing how we think about value, fate, and consequences. These 10 gemstones didn't just decorate history, they directed it. They were worn by kings, stolen by empires, sold for blood, and painted into the sky. Each one left fingerprints on religion, war, science, and soul. In the end, a gemstone is never just a rock. It's a story, a symbol, and sometimes a turning point in the human journey. Let us know which resonates with you in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.